So I was in the Marriott Hotel sauna in Newport, Rhode Island, and this guy, this shaved head, older gentleman, shredded out of his mind, started chatting with another dude, and I was listening to some of the things this shredded dude was saying, and then my ears started to perk up, and I basically was trying to pick his brains so much to a point where he was like, he basically like, oh, I'm all set, dude, like, I'm just gonna hang out in the sauna. And I was like, okay. And then he goes, actually, you know what, this is what I think. And then he answered some of the questions that I was posing to him. So let's see if I can try and remember some of the things he was saying. One of the things he was saying that really stuck out to me was there's two types of professions, or maybe there's two types of professions, right, or categories of things that you can call them two boxes. And one box that's like lawyer, doctor, stuff you need to pass certain hurdles, because if they just gave it out, if they just let anyone do it, then it wouldn't make that much sense. So I forget how he described this box, but you get the picture. The second box he said was performance, as in the sense that, let's say you could hit a home run and you go to a pro, you go to the minors, you go to a pro team, and you tell a coach, oh, I can smack a home run, and the coach say, get the hell out of here, whatever. And then you say back to him, I'll give you have your pitcher throw me a couple pitches and I'll smack one of these out of the park, or whatever, or I'll smack all three out of the park. And then you do smack it out of the park, then right, you can execute that, and that's a reality, because you know that to be the case, and you've earned that ability, right, through investment of time and energy. So you don't need to take a course per se, or to have some type of certificate to be able to smack home runs out of the park, is the point. So he says, you go win, he goes, whatever he says to me, he says, you win a 5K or you win a 10K, it doesn't matter if you have any certificates, because you just won it. So it's performance based. He says, you want to spend, he says, all things being equal, to the best of my ability, or to the best of my memory, he said, you want to spend more time in performance based realms, because money talks. And I really liked that one. So I guess the takeaway is spend more time in realms where performance matters more than paper, matters more than certificates. Another thing he suggested, he goes, one time he goes, or the other thing he says is, he says, don't take no for an answer. And then he follow up saying, he says not when a female, he wasn't talking about it like if you're a female or you're on a date, and a woman says no, not like that. He gave me an example. He said he was a director, or he was helping directors on movie sets, and this director says to him, I want to shoot film at this location, and I need you to go speak with this guy to get the permit, or to get the A-OK to shoot. And this guy's telling me that he went to go speak with the guy, and the guy says no. And the guy goes back to he goes back to the director, this guy with the shaved head, and he goes, oh, the guy says no. And the director says, what do you mean he said no? And he says, well, what do you mean what I mean? The guy says no. And then the director says, okay. So the next day later, they're filming at the location where the guy told him no. So right there was some wiggle room. Right there was there's a space in between what the guy was saying no for and what the director was able to make happen. And I'll give you another story just as I'm thinking about this. Just over in Germany 2 weeks ago, and you know, if you're in a train station, no one wants to be harassed, or not even harassed, like, you know, you don't really want anyone bothering you in public places, kind of airports, train stations, right? You don't know what, you know, you don't know someone trying to waste your time, whatever. So I remember I would go up to someone and say, you know, sprechen English or whatever. You speak English in German, and then, you know, these people was waving their hands at me, like, oh, like, fuck off. And then I would say, wo ist dein, like, Bahnhof der Alexanderplatz, or, you know, something like that. And then, you know, if you're genuine about the question, then they pointed exactly where we needed to go. So right, I wasn't thinking of this guy's time then, but as I tell you this now, that's what I was thinking of, right? So sometimes people say no, but it's because they just don't know what you're really about. So sometimes if you follow up with the right question after, you know, maybe they could help out. Man, he had another good one. Oh shit! I remember. This guy says to me. He says he went to go be a news anchor. He says that he was a news anchor, and he goes. He went to the whoever was hiring, and it's like, okay, I'm ready to be a news anchor, and they told him, nah, you got to go to Columbia, School of Media or whatever. They basically told him to go kick rocks and go to school for 4 years, and he's like, in 4 years I'll be this old. There's no way I'm gonna do it 4 years later. So it's already a kind of a long shot right now. So he says that he followed up on every single lead that led him to the opportunity. So he said it doesn't matter if it was like your sister's cousin's roommate who had this potential thing where he could speak with someone who might be able to get him in to be a news anchor or whatever. And he said he did that so many times. He basically said yes to every micro opportunity so that he could become a news anchor. And he said that's what happened. And he said, you ever see the movie Yes Man with Jim Carrey, whatever? And I said, no, but I know of it. And he goes, do that for whatever you're trying to break into. He said, just do that. Just follow up on every single lead until you find your way into that into the place that you want, the space that you want to work in. So I thought that was like, you know, I love that. I love that story. And he had another story. I guess this is a number 4, right? So number one is work in performance-based realms. Number 2 is there's some space between no and yes, or there's space between no. Number 3 is become be a yes man for 3 years straight, or whatever, 4 years straight, until you do find your way into the thing. And I guess this is 4 is he goes, let's say someone asked a question. He gave me this example. He goes, ask me a question, and I said, you know, what are your top 3 favorite books or something like that? And he goes, Andrew, I've spent so much time traveling the world, reading, you know, he says, I've been to so many different places, and let me tell you one thing about pizza. And he goes, you know, most people don't realize that and then he kind of continued on, but he deviated you away from, right? He took you from where your question was over here, and he led you to over here where you had no idea where that was going to be. So imagine someone, a reporter, or someone asking a question, and you might not, you don't want to talk about what they want to talk about, but you want to talk about what you want to talk about. So regardless or not, if you're trying to be or if they're trying to be not nice